You are listening and watching to a very special podcast. Well, enjoy, people. I got more coming your way. Hope you like it. It wasn't until Ben was just taking a nice stroll out for once in his lifetime. There he was, just wandering, all by himself. He began to notice a park where everyone was there. Parents were being seated, while children were playing in the playground. Some of the adults were talking, some of them were laughing over a story being told by someone. Others were just reading a book, while just pushing over and over as if to rock it, a baby in the carriage to get it to sleep. During that time, Ben noticed 3 little girls were playing ball in 4 squares. Only 3 girls, but they managed to play a bit. As they were playing, one of them accidentally dropped the ball, and one of them told one of her friends to go get it. So she did. However, she wasn't fast enough, but luckily Ben was there and managed to catch it. He gives it back to the little girl. "Thank you, sir," the little girl said. "You're welcome. You have quite nice manners."
Thank you. I learned that from my mommy and daddy. They were the ones that raised me.
"Really? Are they here?" Ben asked.
No, just my uncle.
But the way she said uncle just made her uneasy. Ben realized this. "Where is your uncle?"
Over there?
The little girl said, pointing over. There was a pretty much of a sleazy looking guy. But he seemed normal, but still there was something sleazy about him. He tried to look as innocent as possible by waving over. Only the little girl could just wave timidly back, but she looked pretty nervous. And her legs began to twitch a bit, as if she was trying her best not to get too scared or, worse, wet her pants. Ben took notice. "Are you all right?"
Yeah, I just have to get back. My friends need me. See you later.
Ben watched her as he let out a soft, "Bye." The little girl returned to her friends. One of them was saying,
What took you so long? Who was that guy? I don't know. Just a stranger.
However, the other girl said,
You have to be careful. Didn't your mommy and daddy ever tell you not to talk to strangers? Yeah, I'm sorry. Forget about it. Come on, let's play.
So they continued playing. Ben was pretty concerned for that little girl, and the uncle for that matter. He glared over at the uncle. The uncle tried to look innocent, but he dropped his composure and glared back, as a way to say, "What are you looking at?" Ben just looked at him, sternly, firmly as it may, and then he walked away. Ben, all of a sudden, took off his top hat and placed it there on the table. He looked over at his notes. Every single resurrection, there was newspaper articles upon the infestations and the exterminator. But he thought it was just plain ridiculous. And worse, it soon got worse. Ben, Taylor, and Isabel were out in town. People began to notice Isabel because of her beauty. They couldn't help but ask Ben, "Who is this young lady you see here?" But Ben always said, "She's just a friend, don't be alarmed." However, every time they always went away, Ben would mutter, "I wonder if they'll have a good look at her teeth." He said, some guys try to hit off on Isabel. They even try to make their advances towards her, but Isabel was tough and she pushed them back hard. She said, "Back off. I don't deal with sleazy men who all they do wants to make advantages towards girls like me." Then she just walked away angrily. However, they stopped to get something to eat, but during that time, a girl came in and people began to stare at her with shock. The girl came in and she placed her order. The clerk did his best to be nice, but he knew something was wrong. Ben was curious and he tried to tilt his head in curiosity. When the girl turned, Ben's face fell hard. The girl looked like she had been scarred. Her face looked terrible. It looked really awful. The little boy pointed,
Mommy, what's wrong with her face?
but the mother shushed her, quietly saying, "Honey, I told you, don't shout, and it's not polite to point. Eat." So the boy ate. The mother tried her best not to stare. Ben looked at the girl's face. He's seen this before. Ben got up and said, "Miss, I..." However, the girl took offense and she shouted, "What the hell are you looking at?" "Nothing, Ben said. But the girl said, "Everyone's looking at me like this. I didn't deserve this." She sobbed and she left without even getting her food. Ben cried out, "Wait, please, don't go." The clerk was concerned. But Ben knew he saw this before. He looked out the window and he saw Rosemary. She was just standing there on the sidewalk. But when she saw Ben, she stared for a moment. And then an evil smile appeared on her face. She was the cause. Ben began to tense. Taylor began to notice Rosemary. "It's that girl." "It's her," Ben said. "I see," Taylor said. "What is she doing there?" "She's responsible for the girl's face. The way she was like that, she's responsible. I've seen this before." Taylor looked at his friend with concern. "You've seen this before? From her? There's no way. She's just a child. She's grown into a teenager. I haven't seen her ever since." "I don't believe it," he groaned. Later, Ben began to pace the floor, but all of a sudden he had a vision of Ophelia speaking to him. The girl's face was caused by a severe reaction that my daughter Rosemary did. That girl had to be punished, Ophelia said. She was bullying a young girl who just wanted to be friends with her, but all those girls did was torment her, tease her. They didn't care anything about her. What makes of that? Tell me, what makes of a person? Why should society care about the nobodies, the outcasts? Tell me that. Ben began to panic. "Ophelia, why? You really want to do this? You plan on doing what your mother once said. Don't mention that woman in my presence." Ophelia said, "She will not taunt me any longer. I thought you would learn by now for what she did." Ben looked at her with a sympathy look. "I know. I'm sorry, Don't be fretful, my dear. Don't be fretful at all. I have nothing against you. Far from it. I really don't, Ophelia said. I'm looking for something more interesting, something more awe-inspiring. But there's nothing. All these people here are giving me is disappointment. What makes of that, Benjamin? Tell me that. I know you feel that pain inside of you. You know better than anyone that this is not over. Society is still filled with the so-called beautiful people, but on the inside, they are not beautiful at all. And they got what they deserve for bullying the weak, hurting the vulnerable, pushing the limits until they break. They break themselves or they break others. You know exactly what I mean by that, Ophelia said.
Ophelia, please. There's still some good out there. You may not believe it. And yes, what my father did to your daughters was very unspeakable. I can't change that. I could have stopped him, but I was afraid of him, and I was a coward.
No, it was just like how it happened to me. I understand that. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't live without my babies. My babies.
Ophelia said. She began to cry. Ben was saying, "No, Ophelia, please don't cry. I'm sorry. I'll make it better. I promise. I'll make it better for you. Just give me more time," he begged.
There isn't much time. It won't be long until I find something that will provoke me into the darkness alone.